applied for the job. He said, well, let's do a phone interview. We talked on the phone for over an hour and a half. After we got off the phone, now I was at another job that I was leaving, but I stayed on the phone with him for an hour and a half. So after the hour and a half conversation, he said, well, when am I going to see you? I said, well, when are you available? He gave me a time and date, and I was there. So when I met him face to face, it seemed like we already knew each other because he knew all about me. All I could say, Dr. Klein was a very caring and considerate person. When I started working there, it wasn't like a job. It was like a family. He treated everybody considerate, very nice, concerned, and considerate. He would ask you something, he would listen attentively, and he really was a very, all I could say, TLC, tender loving care. He cared about everybody. I guess it kind of spilled over from him being a doctor. So, right. When I met him face to face in his office, it seemed like we had been knowing each other for years because we had talked almost 2 hours on the phone. It was almost like a medical history. So we talked about carpal tunnel. We talked about any nerve injuries I may have had. Well, I had quite a few. I used to play a lot of sports. We went on and on and on, but working in the department was a true joy because it was not like work. I never dreaded going there because it was about doing the work and helping people in the department. It was like a family. And as far as the residents, like you said, every year he would give me a list of people to send an invitation to. I make the invitation, he review it, we make some adjustments, we get them printed out, I mail them out, and every year he gave a party for the senior resident. They only knew me from work, but every year there was a party for them. And like I can't express this enough. It really was like a family. It wasn't even like work. I knew Nell, his wife. I knew Nell's kids, Mr. Mike and Mary. I still run into Mary at the supermarket. He knew my family. He came and met my mother in her last days. She had gotten bedbound. Every time his sister Janet would come in town, we would get together. Me and her would go have lunch and talk. We knew he knew about my sisters and brothers, and I knew about his family and his kids. It was
Wonderful.
After Katrina. He needed work done on their house. They got my son who was in construction to do work on their houses. I was still working for him. Of course, we had to get a remote location. The residents as well. It was like they were his kids. They weren't biological, but he treated them like you would treat a son or daughter. It was wonderful knowing him, and he treated love and care.
Oh, that's
Well, when I read the obituary y'all listed online, they definitely covered. I used to update his curriculum vitae. It started out like 30 something pages. I think by the time after Katrina, it was probably up to like 40 something pages. He was in a lot of articles. He was in a lot of the neurological surgery associations, and they loved to hear him come and teach courses. So I would always, with the other work, always coordinating flights to see if he could make that flight, trying to get a rental car, trying to get a hotel in different countries, and what he had learned.
Yeah.
I was like, and he never got tired. He never was tired. I was like, those trips would come in between surgery dates, in between meetings at LSU. He never stopped.
That's
Never.
he
Yeah.
sure did.
And
He
he enjoyed teaching. Well, a lot with the residents. He really took time and patience with residents. I didn't go to the hospital. I basically was more in the office. But teaching the residents, he was always right there for any procedure they would do at charity. Always. If something was scheduled and he was out of town, they would have to reschedule that because he had to be there. Yeah, he took a lot of pride in teaching the residents everything he knew, showing them, telling them, and like I said, he wrote several articles